American singer, songwriter, and musician Stevie Wonder said, "We need to make every single thing accessible to every single person with a disability." You're watching NAPTIP On The Move. My name is Angela Agbegi. Disability inclusion is paramount to NAPTIP. And as the world commemorates the 2023 International Week of Deaf People and the International Day of Sign Languages, we bring you NAPTIP's efforts in ensuring disability inclusion. Stay with NAPTIP On The Move.
Human trafficking is a heinous crime that affects everyone, irrespective of age, gender, or status. Everyone is a potential victim, including persons with disabilities.
Persons with disabilities are unfortunately at a higher risk of experiencing human trafficking than most, due to, of course, the most obvious reasons, the range of vulnerabilities that they may face. And some of these vulnerabilities include physical and communication barriers that make it difficult for them to be able to seek assistance on time. And also it limits their ability to escape from their traffickers at the time that they need to escape. And these limitations may include mobility impairment, hearing or vision impairment, or even speech disability. And of course, we know that when persons with disability communicate with others, that other person must have the ability to be patient and must have the ability to listen and understand them.
Persons with disabilities are more prone to exploitation and violation.
Another vulnerability that they experience is their dependency on caregivers. So we know that a lot of persons with disability cannot do a lot of things, which is why they depend on primary caregivers. And we've seen situations where these caregivers exploit these individuals. And then of course, traffickers often isolate their victims to maintain control. And what they do is they keep them hidden from public view, where they are being exploited over and over again. We have the one that is very apparent, the one that is very obvious, which is their economic vulnerability. Of course, we know that persons with disability may face discrimination when it has to do with access to education and when it has to do with access to employment, which obviously leads to economic vulnerability when they are not able to cater for themselves or provide for their day-to-day needs. It makes them susceptible to falling into the false promises, the antics and lies of human traffickers. Of course, if you see a deaf person begging by the roadside, your initial inclination will not be that, oh, this person has been trafficked to beg. You just think that, oh, this person is trying to meet up with their day-to-day needs.
Catherine Ede is the Executive Director, Voice of Disability Initiative.
When you meet deaf people, communication becomes very challenging. And because of this language and communication challenges, understanding is always very limited. And this limitation of understanding hinders many deaf from knowing their rights, understanding their rights, and knowing how to fight for their rights. Due to these factors, they are often violated. When they are violated, they do not seek for legal redress because they do not even know that their rights has been violated, not to talk of how to go about it. It is also societal perspective about deaf people. Most people believe that we deaf are very aggressive and troublesome. So most times, when deaf people are raped or exposed to violence, they are forced to hide it and cannot open up because they think people will not believe them. There is also stigma imposed on us by our disability. What about deaf children? Most parents keep deaf children at home, feeling that they can't be used for anything other than labor. They end up being used for laborious work. You see their sisters and brothers attending good schools, but you see the deaf children being kept at home for forced labor. Because of this, most of them leave home to escape their enslavement, and once they leave home, they join bad groups and turn out to be street beggars.
Apart from human trafficking, persons with disabilities face enormous challenges, including sexual and gender-based violence.
I will share the story of a deaf we met in the course of our work. Because of the way her family treated her, she left home and joined a friend that is also deaf. And this friend is into street begging and prostitution. Just the false sense of freedom from the enslavement at home made her happy. She went into the streets, and before she knew it, she became HIV positive. When we interviewed her, she said that she was sexually assaulted and that it was the worst feeling ever. She got pregnant, gave birth, and both her and the baby started falling sick always, meaning she had infected the baby.
Recognizing the plight of persons with disabilities, the management of NAPTIP is ensuring disability inclusion in its policies and programs.
For us here in NAPTIP, there has been a very deliberate attempt to mainstream disability inclusivity in the work we do as a government agency, and we believe that with the services we prefer, all persons, irrespective of where you come from, irrespective of your capabilities, should be able to have access to the services that we prefer as an anti-human trafficking law enforcement agency. And in 2 years, we've been able to develop and implement some game-changing strategies in partnership with the National Commission for Persons with Disability. For some years now, NAPTIP has had a reform unit, and in the reform unit we have a disability desk, and the unit and the desk are responsible for implementing all programs or activities that has to do with persons with disability, and officers that work in this unit have been specifically trained to understand the peculiar needs of persons with disability. And of course, last year we developed our NAPTIP disability policy, and I can categorically state that NAPTIP is about the very few government agencies in Nigeria that have a disability policy. And the goal of this disability policy is to promote accessibility and disability inclusiveness at all levels of our operations and across the agency's 5-pronged strategic approach of prevention, protection, prosecution, partnerships, and policy, and to ensure that their needs are properly captured and properly taken care of. And of course, in the past 2 years, we've been able to make our agency at the headquarters disability friendly. We've been able to install about 3 different ramps for wheelchair accessibility. We were able to transcribe some of our key documents into Braille for the blind. We were able to transcribe our Trafficking in Persons Prohibition, Enforcement and Administration Act of 2015 into Braille. We also transcribed some of our policy documents into Braille for the blind, and we also transcribed almost all of our IEC materials, so our information, education and communication materials, because it really doesn't make any sense if we have all these policies, we have all these laws, and some fragment of the society do not have access to it. So we felt it was very important for us to be able to do that, and we were able to achieve this with the wonderful support of the National Commission for Persons with Disability. These IC materials were launched on the 27th of July this year. And in addition, we also developed and produced audiovisual materials transcribing the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act into audiovisual materials for the hearing impaired and also for the blind. And with this, we plan to do sensitization across the schools for the deaf, the schools for the blind in the FCT. And of course, this effort will be replicated at the sub-national level, where we have commands and zonal commands and liaison offices.
NAPTIP also organizes sensitization workshops for the deaf community. Speaking on the collaboration with NAPTIP, Catherine Ede says it is impactful.
We collaborate anytime we have problems. We make sure that we always carry them along. Anytime we have cases of violence that needs urgent attention, or any case that comes to us, we connect them with NAPTIP. In our deaf community, most times, our women face multiple challenges, not only violation from outsiders, but also from insiders. You see a deaf woman who is married, the husband will be battering her on a daily basis. But when NAPTIP came in and began using some people examples of how a man who battered his wife should be dealt with, it made some of the deaf men to refrain and become more cautious. And I personally witnessed it. Many times, when deaf women run to me and tell me that they were beaten by their husband for no reason, coupled with different type of assaults, once I call the man and tell him that we are going to NAPTIP, they begin to beg, because they know that the name NAPTIP is not a joke. NAPTIP has opened up policy for deaf inclusion in terms of accommodating deaf people and making sure that we have legal recourse and redress. I would say that NAPTIP is doing well, making good impact.
She also commends NAPTIP for ensuring disability inclusion in their activities.
I will rate NAPTIP high compared to many human rights defenders. They are doing very well in terms of accommodating deaf people. They employ deaf staff and interpreters, and since then, deaf people have been seeking legal recourse through the help of NAPTIP. My message to deaf people is that they should know that NAPTIP is always there and is very inclusive and has an open door policy that will help any victim of violence to seek legal redress. When you are faced with any form of violence and you decide to keep quiet and refuse to act, you are only aiding it and you are not helping matters. If you don't know how to go straight to NAPTIP, come to us and I'll personally take you to NAPTIP. More so, NAPTIP runs a weekly program on television, and I encourage deaf people to always try to tune in anytime the program is on and watch. Why? Because through the weekly program, you can understand more about your rights. I want to shout out and say a big thank you to NAPTIP.
For Professor Fatima Waziri Azi, DG NAPTIP, ensuring disability inclusivity requires an all-of-government and society approach.
At a country and societal level, more needs to be done to ensure that persons with disability are consistently protected from not just human trafficking, but from all sorts of societal ills, from sexual and gender-based violence. And this requires a multifaceted approach that addresses their unique vulnerabilities and needs. As such, we need to scale and amplify public awareness about these vulnerabilities, including educating individuals with disability, educating their families, educating caregivers, and also educating communities about the risk and the signs of human trafficking. And we also need to make support services, including our shelters, whether it has to do with legal aid or healthcare. We need to make all these support services accessible to persons with disability, including ensuring that physical accessibility and communication support are always available for them. We need to create more opportunities for individuals with disability to access meaningful employment, because we know that economic empowerment can reduce their vulnerability to trafficking. Individuals with disability must be empowered to advocate for their rights and safety. So we need to encourage self-advocacy. Who best to advocate for the things that they need? Lastly, I would say collaboration across all federal system, collaboration across the subnational system, collaboration across civil society organizations, disability advocacy groups, and the wider community. It is our responsibility to make life a little better for them by being sensitive to their issues. And most importantly, we all need to be kind to persons living with disability.
As the world commemorates the 2023 International Day of Deaf People and International Day of Sign Languages themed "A World Where Deaf People Everywhere Can Sign Anywhere," here is a message from NAPTIP. Stop using deaf children for street begging. It is a crime. Report all cases to NAPTIP. NAPTIP On The Move is sponsored by Expertise France, funded by the European Union.
Hope you were enlightened. Our event segment will be on shortly. Keep watching. Officials of NAPTIP in Ekiti State, in collaboration with the National Youth Council of Nigeria, Ekiti State Chapter, organized a one-day sensitization workshop in advanced human trafficking techniques in the Ekiti Youth House, Ado Ekiti. NAPTIP officials enlightened the youths on current trends in human trafficking, red flags and reporting channels of the agency. to enable them report all cases of human trafficking in the state. The Gombe State Command of NAPTIP recently launched the Village-to-Village Sensitization Campaign program at Burak Village in Shongu local government area of the state. The campaign, which is for all the 11 local government areas in Gombe State, is aimed at educating and enlightening the public on human trafficking, the various forms, and how to report cases of human trafficking to NAPTIP. The red cards were distributed to participants at the end of the sensitization campaign. The Zonal Commander of NAPTIP in Kano State, Abdullahi Babale, recently received officials of the Boabab for Women's Rights group, led by Bumi Dikbo Salami, who said they had come to seek collaboration with NAPTIP in the areas of protection, support and assistance to survivors of sexual and gender-based violence, and victims of human trafficking. The Zonal Commander enlightened the team on the mandate of NAPTIP and pledged the support of the agency. He also handed over the NAPTIP IEC materials to the team. Partnership is one of the 5-prong approach of NAPTIP in its fight against human trafficking. Officials of the Danish Refugee Council, led by Leah Balsk, paid a visit to the Lagos Zonal Command of NAPTIP. Speaking on the purpose of the visit, she said they are in Nigeria on a tour of stakeholders and key players in the anti-human trafficking circle to understand the services available to victims of human trafficking and returned migrants. She also said Nigeria's anti-human trafficking response model, as executed by NAPTIP, is effective and all-encompassing. The Danish team was received by Justin Olanude and other officers of NAPTIP. The Zonal Commander of NAPTIP in Makudi, Gloria Bai, recently sensitized wives of Nigerian Air Force officers at the Nigerian Air Force Base Tactical Air Command, Makudi, on sexual and gender-based violence. She highlighted various forms of SGBV and the effects on survivors. She also enlightened the participants on the offences and penalties as stated in the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. Participants at the program include the representative of the Air Officer Commanding Tactical Air Command, Air Commodore Adeoshun, other officials of the Nigeria Air Force in Makudi, officials of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, and wives of Nigerian Air Force officers. As usual, it's time to bring you an account of a victim. Don't go away.
My dad said that he wants to take me to school. So he now called two men that let them take me to school. And I don't know that it was orphanage that he was carrying me to. So when I now reached out, I was not seeing children there. I now asked one of them that which place is. They said, they now told me that this is orphanage. So one man, so she now called me. She now said, what are you doing here? Do you have a family? And I said, yes. Then she now said, then why did your family bring you? And I said, I don't know that they bring me here for school. So I said for 2 weeks. So my aunt now come and carry me because she said that I'm not an orphan because I have a family. So she now carry me as her daughter. And she used to take care of children. Then she used to help children. So my auntie was not taking care of me. So my auntie husband, the police arrested him because I don't know what he did. So we now go to the police station. So we now sleep there. The next morning, the police people, so they now carry us. So they now bring us to one house. I don't know the place. They lock us inside. So we're staying there for how many months. So I be stay there. So they now carry us. They now leave them. They now take us to NAPTIP. So they now say that I'll be going to Westcliff to go and do school. And now I'm going to primary 5. So I really want to tell NAPTIP that thank you for rescuing me, that God will continue blessing you. And I want to tell what's left, thank you for taking care of me, for giving me what I want, to be paying my school fees and to be taking me to school. I just want to say a very big thank you to them.
For more inquiries and support, or to report cases of suspected human trafficking, violence against persons, and child abuse, please call NAPTIP hotline 0703 0000 203 or the short code 627 or email us info@naptip.gov.ng. Visit our website www.naptip.gov.ng. Follow us on our social media platforms at NAPTIP Nigeria or watch our videos on YouTube.
This is where we draw the curtain on this episode of NAPTIP On The Move. Till I come your way again, report all cases of violence against persons, child abuse, and human trafficking. I'm Angela Adwegi. See you soon.